Now on Fox 17, paying tribute to a former president, a look back at Jimmy Carter's life and legacy following his passing today. Plus, from rivals to friends, a look at Carter's link to West Michigan through his predecessor. And behind the lens, a West Michigan woman's unique perspective of Carter's final year in office. First tonight, the country mourns following the death of our 39th president. Jimmy Carter passed away today at the age of 100. He died at his home in Plains, Georgia, surrounded by family. Carter was a peanut farmer turned politician, then humanitarian, winning the Nobel Peace Prize in 2002. Tonight, we're remembering his legacy and his impact, and we start with a look back on his life.
I believe in the greatness of our country, and I believe the American people are ready for a change in Washington.
A self-described Washington outsider, James Earl Carter Jr., who was simply known as Jimmy Carter, won the presidency in 1976, promising to bring honesty to a White House in the years after Watergate.
We can be even stronger than before. Let our recent mistakes bring a resurgent commitment to the basic principles of our nation.
Carter's one term in office included important milestones. He established formal diplomatic relations with China, he created the DOE, and he also helped broker the Camp David Accords that helped stabilize relations with Israel and Egypt. But his 4 years as commander-in-chief came during a tumultuous period in American history. He dealt with an energy crisis, high inflation, and the Iran hostage crisis. He ultimately lost re-election to Ronald Reagan in 1980. Carter's legacy continued decades after leaving office. He founded the Carter Center, which has helped mitigate conflicts and promote democracy in Africa, the Middle East, and Asia.
It is clear that global challenges must be met by an emphasis on peace, in harmony with others.
The 39th president continued to volunteer his time, helping build homes for years along with his wife Rosalind Carter. After surviving cancer, Carter was in and out of the hospital in recent years for falls at his home. He was the longest living president in U.S. history, and he also set the record for having the longest life after leaving the White House.
President Joe Biden addressed the nation earlier tonight following news of Carter's passing. He says the world lost an extraordinary leader, statesman, and humanitarian, and he also lost a dear friend.
What I find extraordinary about Jimmy Carter, though, is that millions of people all around the world, all over the world, feel they lost a friend as well, even though they never met him. And that's because Jimmy Carter lived a life measured not by words, but by his deeds.
Biden has ordered a state funeral for Carter in Washington. President-elect Donald Trump also reacting on Truth Social, writing in part, the challenges Jimmy faced as president came at a pivotal time for our country, and he did everything in his power to improve the lives of all Americans. For that, we owe him a debt of gratitude, adding, Melania and I are thinking warmly of the Carter family and their loved ones during this difficult time. President Carter was from the South, but he did have ties to West Michigan, primarily through his bond with former President Gerald R. Ford. Our Matt Witkos is outside the Ford Presidential Museum in Grand Rapids with a look back at the former rivals turned friends.
Carter and Ford had a very much heated presidential race back in '76. However, after Carter won the election, the two became friends. One so strong that the two former presidents promised each other to speak at each other's funeral.
As president, I relished his sound advice, and he often, although I must say reluctantly, departed from the prevailing opinion of his political party. We enjoyed each other's private company.
Tonight, I talked with Jeff Ployt, who works at the Ford Presidential Foundation. He says even though President Ford passed in 2007, he still had some words prepared for his friend.
Again, as I understand it, that Ford did write a eulogy for Carter. Carter wrote and delivered his eulogy, obviously, for Ford. Ford not able to. So my understanding is that there is a eulogy written that Ford himself did write, and Ford's son, Steve, will be delivering it at the funeral.
Meanwhile, Carter's legacy is being remembered by top Michigan officials. Governor Gretchen Whitmer writing in part, President Carter was a good man, an exemplary American who set a powerful example for all of us over the course of his long life. adding, President Carter lived an impressive life driven by fundamental core values that so many of us share: faith, patriotism, and love. A similar sentiment by outgoing Senator Debbie Stabenow, who wrote, America and the world have lost a truly incredible leader, adding Carter showed us what faith and works really mean. Representative Bill Huizenga adds, he saddened about Carter's passing. He wrote, our hearts and prayers go out during this time of loss to the Carter family, as well as those who served our nation as part of the Carter administration. Back here at the Gerald R. Ford Library and Museum, they are planning on putting up a commemorative display titled Remembering President Jimmy Carter. They will be having out old campaign buttons and photographs of Carter and Ford together. They'll also be having memorial books for people to sign. That display goes on starting tomorrow. Reporting here in Grand Rapids, I'm Matt Whitkus, Fox 17 News.
In addition to the in-person memorial books, a virtual book has been opened as well. You can type up your condolences to the Carter family. The site also includes President Carter's official biography, along with historical photos and videos. It also includes suggestions for any gifts honoring his legacy. Jimmy Carter's presidency, both the good and the bad, was all captured on film by the 5 White House photographers he had with him at all times. One of them now lives in Rockford. We caught up with her about what it was like to experience a presidency behind the scenes. Our Michael Martin reports.
She would come into the Oval Office and he would grab her and give her a little kiss, and she'd be, "Oh, Jimmy." They really did like each other very much. They really were a loving couple.
These are the intimate moments that Mary Daly Brown got to be a part of and captured on film as a White House photographer during Jimmy Carter's last year of presidency. Seeing how he interacted with his wife, Rosalind, but also being in the room when important decisions were being made.
It was a tremendous opportunity to watch history as it happened and to be a part of it and to be a part of recording it.
Mary is originally from Illinois, but now lives in Rockford. She's the CEO of a local nonprofit, So Hope. But as a young woman at Southern Illinois University in 1980, she had big dreams of being a photographer, and then a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity came along.
Well, I was actually in college and I heard about a summer internship, so I applied for that and then I got hired onto staff.
She was one of 5 White House photographers that got a behind-the-scenes look at Carter like no one else.
The good thing about being in the White House was I had this little pass here, and that let me go in front of the press corps. The press corps was always kind of behind this rope.
Working alongside the president, she saw how he operated in stressful situations, always leading with a sense of compassion.
I was very impressed with him while I was there. He really influenced me, and the way that he led, he was a real servant leader. He didn't ask anybody to do anything that he wasn't willing to do himself.
Now she remembers the late president with gratitude for letting her in and giving a passionate college student the opportunity of a lifetime.
I mean, he has lived a great life, long, good life, but, it's sad. He's a great man.
Even though President Carter is gone, his legacy is engraved into the country's history, and Mary was directly involved in that process, being there in his biggest moments, capturing that history for everyone to see. In Grand Rapids, Michael Martin, Fox 17 News.
The death of a U.S. president is a rare event. For Carter, public observances will be held in Atlanta and Washington, D.C., followed by a private interment in his Georgia hometown. Final arrangements for his state funeral are still pending, but historically, this is a 7 to 10-day event. Meanwhile, U.S. flags are now flying at half-staff. This video is from earlier tonight showing the White House. According to the flag code, the U.S. flag should fly at half-staff for 30 days following the death of a president or former president. Our coverage of the passing of President Carter will continue in just a few minutes. Coming up, how a West Michigan man had a hand in crafting the place memorializing Carter's legacy.